Hey guys, it is the dude who talks and welcome to today's video. So I've had something on my mind for the past few weeks, and that is who are the big four bands of post-rock. Now you're all aware of the big four of thrash metal: Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer and Megadeth, even though there's some discussion about Metallica being taken off that, but I'm not going to touch that with a barge pole. So I was inspired by a video from the Punk Rock MBA about the big four of pop punk, and I decided to do my own take on it with post-rock. So what is post-rock? Now this is just going to be a small intro. This is merely for people who don't know what it is, and I'm going to be as short and concise as possible talking about this. So the term post-rock was coined by Simon Reynolds for the review of Hex by Bark Psychosis, which came out in 1994, though there has been some disputes about him coining it, as even he said that that term's been used a decade before. So what he said about post-rock was it was using rock instrumentation for non-rock purposes, using guitars as facilitators of timbre and textures rather than riffs and power chords. So musically, post-rock is mainly instrumental, has very lengthy songs, and it kind of borrows from genres like ambient music, krautrock and prog rock, but it's not limited to those three genres. So while its influence dates back to the 60s with proto-everything the Velvet Underground, however, arguably, and I do mean arguably, according to NME, the first post-rock band ever was Public Image Limited. However, it was the 90s when it came into its prominence, especially with bands like Swans, Slint and Talk Talk being noted as highly influential on post-rock. And it is believed, and I do agree with this, is that it came into fruition properly with the band Tortoise when they brought out the second album, which came out in 1996, which was called Millions Now Living Will Never Die, which helped shape the post-rock sound that we're all familiar with. Now, I'm going to stop there because I could probably talk about this for, ages. So, my considerations for the big four of post-rock will be based on bands that are strictly post-rock, so I won't be considering Russian Circles, unfortunately, because I believe they've gone more over to the metal side of things. I'll be basing it on contribution to the genre post-rock and how well received they are. So before we get into it, I just want to make it clear that these are my opinions, and it's just my considerations of who should be the big four of post-rock. I don't believe everyone's going to agree with this, but hopefully we can, just have a discussion about it, and hopefully we can be civil, and hopefully I won't have to do that.
Start the car. Hello, it's Alan again. I've locked you all in the boardroom so you don't get me.
Now that's out the way, here is my first submission for the big four of post-rock. Now I'm going to start with a band that to me, and I can imagine this is the same for quite a few people, this was the gateway band for post-rock, and that is Explosions in the Sky. Now, depending on what part of Reddit you visit, I've noticed they do get quite a bit of hate, and to be honest, I can't seem to figure out why, and to be honest, I personally disagree with that. However, personally, if someone came up to me and said, "Oi, name a post-rock band," the first band that would come to mind would be Explosions in the Sky. To me, they brought the sound to a much more mainstream audience, with being responsible for creating soundtracks for TV shows like Friday Night Lights and films like Lone Survivor, plus many more. Now, I'm not saying that Explosions in the Sky were the only post-rock band to do that, but for me they seem to be the most notable. Also, I believe that Explosions in the Sky are one of the bands to set the blueprint for the quiet, loud sound of post-rock, or otherwise known as crescendocore. And I would argue are lesser known than Explosions in the Sky, but just as influential, maybe even more depending on whoever you ask. They're a band that have been considered as anarchists with their views on politics, and for me, are a band that have always done things their own way. I'm obviously referring to Godspeed You Black Emperor. it's like, how could I not put them on here? I think they should be on here because, well, not only because of their music, which I'll get into in a short bit, I think they did something else really well, and that is that they create this whole persona about them, which showed them as this, like, anti-capitalist anarchists who were against anything corporate, and as well, they had a bit of mystery to them, as they refused to do interviews, except for one, notably with the NME, which made me want to find out more about them. I found them really intriguing. Not only that, I was really enamoured with like the artwork and like, you know, like the inlays in their albums. I like wanted to find more about them, and it appeared also cryptic, which I just found enticing and made like the whole genre post-rock enticing, and I felt no one did that better than Godspeed You Black Emperor. Musically, their first two albums are timeless and in heavy rotation for me, and I always like how they get referred to as apocalyptical with, you know, like the Dead Flag Blues. So that is reason enough. Now we're halfway through, so my next suggestion for the Big Four would be one of the originators, so to speak. I was considering Bark Psychosis and maybe Labraford for this position, who, to be honest, I'm not too familiar with them, although I know that their sound was way ahead of its time, as it's been noted. However, I'm going to go with Tortoise on this one, as I think they're one of the bands that pretty much set the blueprint for what many other post-rock bands would do with their sound, and are one of the few bands that got the ball running on the genre. While I may not be the biggest fan of theirs, don't get me wrong, I do like their stuff, I just find it sometimes hard to listen to, I can definitely appreciate their influence on many other bands. And they're still going strong with their last album, The Catastrophists, being released in 2016. So what should be the fourth entry on the Big Four? Now, I was thinking maybe Mogwai, but I feel that would be a slap in the face for them because they really detest that genre and being classified as post-rock. See, I'm thinking of something maybe a little unexpected or maybe just a little controversial. With that being said, I have to say my next submission for the Big Four would be 65 Days of Static, as in my opinion they did something different as they blended in electronic elements with their sound, which for me at the time I thought was unique. Now, I'm not saying that they were the pioneers of the sound, but for me 65 Days of Static brought something fresh to the table, and especially with the post-rock genre, and it showed me that post-rock didn't have to all be about meandering. It can be like explosive and intense, which they carried on in their live shows, and believe me, they were fucking incredible, trust me. And also, I want to give note that they did actually create a soundtrack for No Man's Sky as well, or No Man's Lie, if you want to call it that, which I have to make note of as well. So for those reasons alone, I think that warrants 65 Days of Static to be on the Big Four. Okay, so that was me talking about who should be the Big Four of post-rock. I would love to hear your ideas on who should be the Big Four, so please let me know down below in the comments section. Like always, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It really helps out. I just really want to quickly plug my Facebook page. I'll be including a link of that in the description section. If you want to give that a like, I'm trying to post stuff on there daily as well. So all I've got left to say to you guys is I've been the dude who talks. Thank you so fucking much for listening, and I shall see you guys soon. Thank you.